Right, welcome everyone to this month's Alabama Blue School. My name is Brian Fuenmayor. I'm one of the organizers of the United Democratic Volunteers of Alabama, which presents this monthly school, typically every month on a Tuesday, and we discuss different topics such as how to become a better volunteer. Some things are specific to campaigns, organizing in your own local county party, so on and so forth. So this month, we're going to be talking about how to organize a protest. As some of you might know, or might have been aware in your own city or closer to the large cities, there has been several organizations organizing protests throughout the states. Birmingham, Huntsville, Mobile, I believe in Montgomery as well. So this is a very timely topic in light of this new Trump administration that we're currently experiencing, and Doge and everything else uh, yeah, that people are passionate about organizing around and protesting. So our goal for tonight is to give some basics on how to organize one effectively and safely in your own town or city, wherever you live. Although this one is more specifically to Alabama and some of the laws that are specific to us here. And our hopes is that you can replicate this in your own town um, during the next 4 years. Hopefully, it'll be less than that, if we impeach Trump for then. Yeah, so let's go ahead and and by the way, this is all based off of my own personal experience of what uh, in the protest that I've organized myself. And so there could be better practices out there that I'm not aware of. But at least this will give you a very base understanding and knowledge of how to do this in your own hometown um, as volunteers, because none of us are paid protesters. And if you know of anybody who is a paid protester, please give me their contact information because I would love to get paid to do this. All right. First up first, what is a protest? What is the purpose of it? Why organize one? We all have busy lives and we know the importance of voting. So is organizing a protest even worth it? So this is a question, it's important a question to ask in order to make you realize what are some of the goals behind organizing a protest. So some of the goals that I've come to realize behind organizing one is that it raises media awareness that something is going on in your town, in your city. Um, News stations love covering protests, so it is a good chance to um, let your community know that there are concerned citizens that are feeling upset about a certain topic. Um, Lately, it's been, Elon Musk's Doge and all the damage it's been doing. It's been Trump and all his unconstitutional executive orders and the budget. So it's a chance for the media to come and puts a little bit of light shining on light that hey, there are people in the community who are upset about current events. So that's one reason why people organize protests. Another is that it brings people together. So there are it's a chance to build community to help connect folks with one another, especially in Alabama, where it seems that that Democrats are in the minority, and we might not know more than five Democrats offhand personally together. So it's a chance to bring people together, especially those who are feeling very passionate and they feel like they have to do something besides just calling their elected officials. They want to do something in person. So the other goal of this protest is to help mobilize folks in real life, away from social media, away from the digital realm, and into one another. And of course, it increases visibility. for yourself and the other organizers and the organization that you are using in order to organize this protest. So, and there are many other reasons why people organize a protest, but these are the three main ones that I've come to see of that are very effective. So, what are the first steps to organizing a protest? Uh, First and foremost, you cannot and should not do this alone. If you are in a small town, wherever you are, uh, at least have two people on your organizing team. So reach out to social media, to your friends, to your family, to your local county Democratic party, and see if you can find someone who would be interested in helping you organize this protest. Two at the very least, and there is no maximum, but for efficiency, you want at least at the most 10 organizers. Otherwise, it gets a little unwieldy. There's too many voices at the table, that sort of thing. After you find your team, create an organizing document. What I use is Google Docs. That is a free tool that you can use and share with others simply using their email address. It's a way to have all the information that you're going to compile and put together into one spot. If you're like me, your memory is terrible and you're going to forget stuff. So having that organizing document in one place will save you so much headaches and troubles in the future. Um, Once you start creating that, share with your other fellow organizers. And then on the third one, come up with a date and time. Um, find a, if you are not organizing with like a national organization like 5051 or Women's March, then you might have more flexibility about date and time. Just find one that the majority of organizers can actually attend and be there in person. Next, find a good location. That could be, and we discussed this a little bit more later, of whether it should be in a place where it would require a permit or not. But typically, you want a location where you have a lot of visibility, a lot of cars traveling by, um, but not too busy where it becomes a safety hazard. So you don't want an extremely busy intersection where there's like 5 million cars during rush hour. But you want to find a good one, and typically you don't want to do it on private property unless you have the explicit approval of the owner. You typically want to use public property. So it could be a park, it could be a government building. Um, and then you have to decide whether you want to march or not. So some protests are just in one location. It's kind of like a rally. And then people stand outside of the road with their signs and people honk by when they agree with it, which can be very satisfying. Um, but if you decide to march, then you'll have to find a location that has a pretty good march um, area, whether it's through a downtown or whether it's walking the perimeter of the park. I've seen both situations happen. There's still pretty good locations. Do you need a permit? We'll talk about that on the next slide. So, by according to our United States Constitution at this time, you do not need a permit in order to protest. It is our constitutional right. That being said, if it also depends on whether you want to march in the streets and you need road closures, if you need extra police, um, or if you think your event is going to be much larger than anticipated, like 500 people. The purpose of a permit is really so that our local governments can be made aware of the events and provide any kind of security um, needed for like barricades for road closures, stuff like that. But typically, you do not need a permit. Either way, it is definitely recommended that you contact your local authorities just so that they are aware of the events. And past protests that I've organized, the police would be there, but they would be like hidden or in the back, and you'll only see them if they ever needed to take action. Like if something bad is happening, then they'll come out. But Typically here in Alabama, we don't have to worry about that. And so we've never had any issues with that with authorities here, as long as we're doing everything right. So there is, I would recommend calling a few days before and just letting them know it's like, hey, we're going to be here at this place and this time. You're not really asking for permission. You're just letting them be aware that you're going to be at this place for this purpose. All right, next steps. Come up with a theme. Um, that theme would also be on your flyer. So something that's one of the ones that we're organizing coming up is the theme is called Resist. So we have that on there. Organization name. So if you want to organize it as your local Democratic Party, make sure you get approval with your chair, so that you can use that name when people are asking, oh, who's putting together this protest? The reason for that is because of trust. So folks who don't see a name on an event tend to feel weary and they want to know who is organizing the event behind the scenes. So if it's an existing organization, or you can also come up with a completely new organization, a new name, just as long as people know who the main organizers are for transparency reasons. That way people will have more confidence in attending the event and not think, it might be um, MAGA spies who are doing it, and then nobody shows up, and it was all just a trick to embarrass people. So finding out that organization name is important as well. Then next step, create a flyer on Canva. So that is a free website tool that you can use to create different flyers, and they have free templates that you can use and make edits. So put your organization name on there, have some kind of contact information. You can create a free email address if you want people to be able to contact you if they have any questions about it. So put that all together. Supplies. So you'll need things like water bottles in case some of your attendees get dehydrated. Um, you'll want materials for signs, and we can talk about more about a sign party later. A wagon that's become something very useful in order to lug all of these supplies around, especially if you're planning on marching, to have all in one location, at least one wagon. I recommend if you're able to find a volunteer who could bring a second wagon where you can have just the signs in there. That's has proven to be more effective. Um, a speaker, so either speaker or megaphone. If you're planning on having speakers during the protests, which I do recommend you have that. Um, and then you also want to create a list of action items for attendees. So after the protest or during the protest, you want we want people to leave feeling that they have a list of things they can do going forward. So whether that is calling their elected officials, whether that's following a certain Substacks or podcasts, or attending any upcoming events, um, you can have that list of action items on there, printed out. You can give to attendees, um, and also include your social media. So wherever that you're planning on having publicizing these protests and future protests as well, because people will want to know to become aware of the next protest. So be sure to have that all that on your action items. And then you want to come up with a list of speakers for your protests. It could be local county chair, it could be your elected officials, or yourselves, the volunteers. Um, have a list of speakers, and then you want to kind of vet what they're going to speak about as well. So ask them if they could write out their speech or something like that. So you could look at it beforehand. Volunteers. So you're going to need some volunteers. If you're going to march, you'll need some in order to help people with the crosswalks, to obey any and all traffic laws. You'll also want to have volunteers to be able to remind the people attending to not engage with hecklers. You might hear people saying, make America great again, or liberals suck, or whatnots. But you just have folks there reminding to ignore them, um, and keep going. You'll want volunteers to help with crowd control and belonging. So this is make sure that everyone stays together as a group, and also to make sure that people attending, especially those who are very brand new to the political scene or might not know anybody, to help them feel like they belong at that event. So if you see someone just standing there by themselves, it'd be good to have a volunteer or a few to approach them, thanking for coming, asking them where they're coming from, and just making sure that they feel like they belong there. It'll help encourage them in their political journey as well going forward. Um, you want volunteer to be able to lug all the supplies around, to give out water bottles to people in the crowd, to be able to assist folks with signs if they need any assistance with that. And you also want a volunteer to take photographs or videos of the protests. So you can share on social media afterwards and with your friends and have a historical record of your events. Preparing for the day of. So you'll want to come up with a list of chants. If you don't know any, Google is your best friends. You can Google very common chants that folks have used in other protests. Find ones that fit the theme of your events. Chants are a good way to engage the audience, but also so that the surrounding community can be aware of your events. So, for example, if you're marching downtown and they hear 50 people chanting, that's going to turn some heads and wants to know what's going on, and then they'll see. Um, so that's kind of the purpose of the chants there. Uh, you might want to do a science party. So perhaps find a public library or a coffee shop beforehand and start making some signs. So grab some poster boards, some markers, and it's a chance for folks to build community to make new friends as well. So you can do a science party before the week before the events. Make sure that you have a checklist of all your supplies, like the one I just mentioned. You want to come up with the meeting time for all the volunteers and the organizers before the protest, which I recommend maybe a half an hour or an hour before the events. And then also come up with a schedule of the event. So if you want to have a time, okay, we're starting a protest at 12 o'clock, and then we'll have this speaker from 12 to 12:10, and then we'll have another speaker from 12:10 to 12:20, and then we march at 12:20 until so-and-so location, but have a schedule written out and shared with all the organizers. That way, it'll help you stay on schedule for the protests. Make sure that you have everything that we just mentioned in your organizing document, and then all your fellow organizers have access to it in case they need to go back and refer to it for any reason. And then come up with a plan for bad weather. If there's going to rain, are you going to move the location indoors, or are you going to have a rain date, or are you just going to march anyway, and hopefully it won't rain the whole day, um, and just part of that. So talk with that with your team, um, and whatever the majority decides, go with that. But at least you're prepared in case of bad weather, like we had this past weekend. All right, the day of. So the day of the protests, if you have reached out to the local news stations, media, AL.com, Alabama Political Reporter, um, you might have a reporter or two there in order to interview. So expect that to be there. Have decide as a group who is going to speak to the press to be interviewed officially as your organization. And of course, they're going to interview some of the participants as well and ask them their thoughts of why they're there at that event. Volunteers, make sure everyone's there, and they all understand their roles on it. It's important to stay on schedule the day of, as well as being flexible and adapting to anything that might come up. Perhaps a speaker that you were expecting doesn't show up. You can move the speakers around, uh, so on and so forth. So you want to give space in order to adapt to whatever happens to that day. Um, and then make sure that you have your action items to give to the crowd as well. All right, after the protest is over, you're going to be exhausted, but don't let that stop you from thanking everyone who attended. Thank all of the organizers, the volunteers, for showing up. And then I recommend scheduling a recap meeting with all your organizers and volunteers. So in this meeting, you'll go over lessons learned, what good things happened at the meeting, at the protest, what bad things happened, what ways that you can improve at the next one, and then decide as a group if you wanted to do another protest or not. Perhaps this one went terribly and never want to do a protest again, or it went really well and you're excited and energetic and can't wait for the next one. Um, but at least decide as a group for that, and then decide a meeting time or meeting date of when you want to start organizing again. And that's basically it for the most part of organizing a protest. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or anything they would like to share with their experience of protest that we haven't covered already here?
I'm Derica.
Hey, Derica, how's it going?
I'm good. Sorry I didn't speak before, but I didn't have my microphone and camera and my settings on.
No
So,
worries.
yeah. But I just wanted to know, so I missed the very beginning trying to get back in. Do you all have any protests coming up?
Yes, so in Alabama, we have quite a few. I know in the Birmingham area. I don't know which area of the state that you're in right now.
I'm in Shelby County.
You're in Shelby County? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look on the Indivisible, um, Alabama Indivisible social media, and I just saw it today actually. They have a list of upcoming protests in Birmingham. Let me see. It was on the news as well, and somebody took a screenshot of it. Uh, let's see. Oh, I just had it. Okay, here we go. So what day is today? The 18th. So there was one today,
Mhm.
in Huntsville. It was the Protect Our Veterans protest. Tomorrow there is another one in Huntsville called our Protect Our Families, and that's one from 11:30 to 1. On Thursday, there's one in Madison, Alabama, Protect Our Pocketbooks protest. And this is all being organized by Indivisible Alabama 5th Districts. Um, Actually, I don't see any in Birmingham now that I'm looking at this. And
Okay.
there's another one in Friday, Huntsville, another one in Athens. In Mobile, there is one on April 5th, in downtown Mobile. But other than that, if you're on social media, there is a Facebook group called Blue Dots of Alabama, and different organizations have been sharing their upcoming protests there. Um, and I'm also on a Discord server, so I should be able to see upcoming protests. Let's see events. Hmm, let's see. So on March 21st, there's a political crafting rally. Um, Apparently, Donald Trump Jr. is coming into town. Did you hear about that? He's,
No, I did
Birmingham?
not.
yeah, it's going to be in Birmingham. So there's a few folks who are going to be creating signs and banners for his event on April 3rd. They're going to be protesting his event. Um, I will share that flyer. If you could email us, I've seen that flyer so you can share it with all your networks as well. That might be the easiest way. Our email, if you go to our website, udaval.org, um, and then the contact page, you see that our email is info@udval.org, and I will put it in our chat as well. If I can figure out, yeah, there you go. Yep, just email me and I'll email you the flyer for that. And I'll try to look for any other upcoming protests as well.
Okay.
Does it say where he's going to be in Birmingham?
Let me see. It just says Donald Trump Jr. is coming to town. Let me Google it real quick.
I was just curious if it was some private event or,
Hmm.
you know.
Let me see. I'm sure it's in the news. They've covered it. I'll
Yeah.
Google it real quick. Here it is for GOP election victory celebration. So
Hmm.
he's going to be the keynote speaker at an Alabama Republican Party event to celebrate President Trump's election victory. It'll be held. The Trump victory dinner will be April 3rd at the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Complex.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, lucky for y'all.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's in the news. So that is one of them. There is another organization called 5051 that has been organizing protests throughout the country in different states. So it's called 50 States, 50 Capitals, one movement. Um, Let me see what upcoming dates they have there. Let's see. Railroad Park on March 29th from 2 to 5 p.m. There's a protest called Remove, Reverse, Reclaim from 2 to 5 in Birmingham, Railroad Park.
You said that's on the 21st
That is on the 29th.
of the 29th. March
Yes,
29th at what
at 2
time?
o'clock. 2 o'clock at
Railroad
Rail
Park.
Park. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Not really a protest, but there is a town hall for District 4. If you are in Congressional District 4 in Alabama, um, apparently the Democrats there called for a town hall for Representative Robert Adderholt. Um, Whether he's going to be there or not, they're still going to hold a town hall there. But that's that. That event is in Northport, Alabama, which I honestly don't know where that is.
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Let me see what else. Town halls, Athens. There's a Veterans March 14th. That's already passed. There was an immigration protest on March 19th. That's tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Crampton Bowl Stadium.
Okay,
Is that
say
in
that one again.
That's in Montgomery.
Yeah, that's
That's in
Montgomery.
Montgomery?
Yeah,
Okay.
Crimson Bowl is in Montgomery.
Yeah, so this one's being organized by a few organizations. ACIJ, that's Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice, ACLU of Alabama, um, SPLC, United for a Fair Economy, and a few others. So that's a march for immigrant rights. Wednesday, March 19th at 11 a.m. in Montgomery. And yeah, that's all the ones I see for now. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Do you have any that you got going on?
Yeah, so in Mobile, part of my organizing team, unfortunately, because we're also doing it in conjunction with 5051. So we're having one on April 5th on Saturday, which unfortunately does fall in the same day as our Alabama Blue Conference for
Right.
UW.
Yeah, same day.
Yep.
Yeah, same day, unfortunately. So I'm gonna be at the conference while the other organizers are gonna be down there for that one. So we're just gonna have to um, split up that time. But we've done this enough so that they can do it without me, which is also a very important part of organizing these protests. You don't want to it be centered around one person. You'll want to empower all your other volunteer organizers so that they could be able to step up and take over when needed as well. Um, in order to make this work sustainable, right? So another thing to keep in mind.
Okay. And what's your
Yeah.
name again?
My name is Brian Buenmayor. I am with the Mobile County Democratic Party down here on their events committee.
Okay.
Um, I've been an organizer I've been helping out with UDeval, which was originally called the United Democratic Clubs of Alabama, UDeCal, until we've changed this year to expand our scope a bit more and to include really volunteering and mobilizing volunteers throughout the states. So I've been with this organization for 2 years now, helping out with their website, their social media, their flyers, so on and so forth, and their conference coming up.
Good. I'll be at the conference.
Yes, awesome. I will see you there.
Bye.
We got a very exciting conference. Since we got time, I can tell you a bit of the speakers that we have lined up. Um, Let me bring up my document here. Let's see, conference. All right, so we'll have a reproductive health panel, including Dahlia Abrams with Birthwell Partners Community. We'll have Honored McDaniel Hill. She's a director of Maternal and Infant Health Initiative. Jennifer Harris with Alabama Arise Senior Health Policy Advocates. And we also have Senator Linda Coleman and Neil Rafferty giving us a legislative update of some of the bills that are going through the Alabama legislative session this year. We'll have another panel called The Ins and Outs of Volunteering Recruitments with Marsha Sturdivant. We'll have Edwina Taylor and Elizabeth Anderson, who was the Democratic nominee for U.S. House District 6 last year. We'll have a communications panel with Blueprint Alabama, Cicada, Michelle French, and Liz Lane Hoover, or Liz Lane, who's running for city council in Hoover, Alabama. For our keynote speaker, we have Sheila Hall, who was the first ever Black female commissioner in Chilton County. And we'll have also a candidates panel that includes Ashley Dunham, which is the state Supreme Court candidate, Q Chandler for Tuscaloosa City Council, and we'll have some other exciting panels as well. So it'll be a very great and informative day for Democrats across the state to get together in person, meet, collaborate, organize, and energize. So yeah, I hope all of you can attend. It's a um, is a suggested donation of $25, but you can donate whatever amount you want. If you can only donate $1, that'd be perfect. All the expenses helps towards the building. Will provide breakfast, snacks, coffee, and lunch as well, so to help pay for those expenses too. But otherwise, we would love for all of you to be there on Saturday, April 5th. It's going to be in Chilton County, which is the geographical center or close to the very center of Alabama. We wanted to make it easier for people from Mobile and Huntsville to have a central place in the middle to meet.
I'll be there. I'm helping with registration.
Awesome. Glad to hear. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Any other questions, Debbie?
I don't think so.
Awesome,
I
awesome.
know there's going to be a town hall they've invited this Saturday in Woodlawn at the Woodlawn Theater in Birmingham.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They've
Awesome.
invited Terry Sewell and Tumerville and Katie Britt and Gary Palmer, who's the House rep for this district. I don't know if any of those people are going to show up.
Well, I hope Terry Sewell will show up. I think she would.
I think
Yeah, she
Indivisibles,
probably will.
yeah, I think Indivisible's doing it. And I think she's Terry Sewell's in the state because she toured tornado damage.
Ah, okay. Yep, I see the town hall now. Yeah, Terry Sewell, Katie Britt, Tommy Tuberville, and Gary Palmer. You're invited. Yeah, Indivisible Birmingham's putting it together. 2 to 4 at the Woodlawn Theater with
Uh-huh.
happy hour at 4 o'clock.
Um,
Yeah,
well, I do have one question. Is
yes.
my friends and I always feel like we need to protest something, but are speakers the best? The better the speakers you get, does that attract more people to your protest? Because we have fears of, only 5 people showing up, that kind of thing.
Uh, it definitely helps. If you have well-known speakers to it, I think
Uh-huh.
really it's the issue that mobilizes people more than anything.
Uh-huh.
Um, understandably so and rightfully so, there are a lot of upset people about all the things that are happening right now.
Right.
With the federal workers layoffs, with the attack with Social Security and Medicaid. Um, so when people know the reason why they are protesting,
Uh-huh.
it'll mobilize those folks. And even if you have just 2 people there, that is still a successful protest. As
Uh-huh.
if you're there just on the side of the road with your sign waving, and people can see that and getting some kind of visibility, that's a successful event. Um, and what that will do is people will see that and they want to know who you are, and they'll be on the lookout for the next protest, and it'll grow from there.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the biggest thing is getting the word out. Um, if you're going to share on something like Facebook on a public group, for example, if there is like a Tuscaloosa word of mouth Facebook group, my advice is share the flyer in there, but then turn off the comments. Just because the comments can get very toxic.
Uh-huh.
At least the right people can see it. I
Right.
definitely recommend connecting with your local county party
Uh-huh.
and asking them to share your event and your flyer on their social media or on their email newsletter. That'll help reach reach more folks that way.
Mm-hmm.
I get them involved too, because you'd be surprised, we need as many like-minded people together, especially right now. So reaching out to these different groups, whether they're Democrats or just like-minded, and letting them be aware. Making the protest nonpartisan does seem to help increase numbers.
Hmm.
Um, at the same time, I think it's important now more than ever for people to see that Democrats are actually out there doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So having your name on there also has its benefits too, um, in order to increase visibility. So either option works. Uh, if you want to get speakers from nonprofit organizations like Alabama Rise, there'll be a little more wanting to speak if it was a nonpartisan event.
Uh-huh.
But even then, I did have speakers show up there, but they would just say something like, I'm here. You may know me from here, but from this organization, but I'm here just talking on my own behalf. I'm not here representing any organization. So
Right.
that's kind of like the workaround for that too.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. All right, anyone else? If you can think of anything else after this call, feel free to contact us, email or send us a message through Facebook or Instagram and Blue Sky, and we'll be sure to answer your question and help you organize a protest if you like as well in your own city. Go from there. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and hope you can join us for our next Blue School next month.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care, y'all.
Uh-huh.
Night, everybody.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Good evening.